Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Yeah, I've been doing some live streams, and some topics have come up. And another thing is, uh, I get a lot of folks that are new to the channel, and they ask me a bunch of questions. And so I would just like to say, even for some of my older subscribers, as well as the new ones, when you first come to the channel, I have a lot of videos on there. And like the topic I'm going to talk on right now, I've talked about this before, but it seems like even Rachel hasn't seen the video. She really likes watching my videos, and she hasn't even seen the video where I talked about the silver labels. What's a silver label? Let's get the silver label out. I have one here. All right. Yeah, there it is. The silver label. Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. And the bar is silver. You'll see some of them are dark colors, some of them are red. And, you have to be a guru to know what that means. Because I don't know, where does it tell you on this record that this is not from the original master tape? Because it'll say original master recording on the top. That's how you know. But, here a few years back, I had people message me and say in the comments, Ron, I just bought my first MoFi, and I wasn't very impressed with it. It was a silver label. And so here's the problem. The silver labels, they are not from the original master tape. They're from some other source, which they don't disclose what it is. And with my experience, I bought this. I like this record. And they had it out on a silver label. So I didn't know. I just said, well, there's a MoFi, I'll get that. And I put it on the turntable and I'm listening to it and I said, man, it's really quiet. Press at RTI. They have such really nice quiet pressings. They do such a good job. And there's really a luxurious sound to that. But I'm thinking, it doesn't sound spectacular. So I got out I think it was a Record Club press from the early 90s. I got it out, original press, Canadian one. This one right here. I put it on, and wow, this one sounded great. So I'm like, what's going on? How come the MoFi doesn't sound better than? Because, in the past, that's always been the way it is. MoFi does half-speed masters of the original tapes, and they sound so fantastic. That's why MoFi got that name. But you have to be careful about the silver label. Now here's another one that I got. This was another one that I got a silver label. I got a silver label of this Leonard Skinner record because it's really good. And at the time, I was buying from a seller. I was buying a few records that he had that I really wanted. And a lot of times what I'll do when I buy records from a foreign country like that, I try to find out what else the seller has that I can get for, because now you're only going to pay another $2 or so shipping for every additional item, $2 or $3 more. And the seller had this record. It didn't have the OB, had some ring wear on it a little bit, but it was like $5. So man, I'll buy that. Just had to see how it is. And now when I got the silver label, because that's why I got the silver label, because I had that record kind of, it wasn't minty, the way I like them. So then I played the silver label, and I played this one, same thing. Not this one, but the Japanese press that I had. And I said, wow, that Japanese pressing is fantastic compared to that MoFi. And it's the same thing. What's going on with these MoFis? So I got rid of the MoFi, and I searched out me a nice, clean, minty, got the OB, the whole thing of this record, because I really like this record, and I want to have a really nice one that sounds great. That's kind of the way I do records now, that I've figured out for myself what it means. And of course there was another one of the ones I did a video on. It was a Judas Priest record that MoFi has come out with the silver label on the top. And I had got me a Judas Priest record in a bunch of records that I bought out of Japan for resale, and one was a Judas Priest record from, I think it's 1971, and it had the didn't even it had a a CBS Sony label on it. It was original pressing. I could tell what it was. And then I bought the silver label just to see what the difference was. And the difference was the silver label sounded sounded dead almost. And the Japanese pressing sounded like the half-speed master. It wasn't. It was just a first edition Japanese pressing. But we know that a lot of those Japanese pressings, most of them sound really good because it's about what are you comparing it to? Because not every single first edition Japanese press is a home run. Most of them are. Take for example this record here. I had the first edition Canadian pressing. And it says right on there, turn it up loud. I mean, it's high fidelity. It sounds pretty good. They really do. I really like this record, especially Planet Claire. Got that low bass line in it. I play it all the time. And then Hot Lava right after it. And so I was able to find a Japanese, which I think was the first edition. And when I got it home, I compared it to the Canadian first press. And I can't remember at the thing. I think I got rid of the Canadian first press. I kept the Japanese, but there wasn't like a home run. And then I got this one, and I compared all three. And this one did have a touch more bass on it than the other two. But basically, they were all pretty close. But this is a nice package with the MoFi and the thick cover and all that. And I did hear maybe a tad more bass on it, so I kept this one. But yeah, it's not like something like this. Let me take it out of this bag for you. This is one of the older MoFis. See, it says original master recording. This is from the early 80s. I'm not sure if it's on here or not. It says plated and pressed in high definition super vinyl by Victor Company out of Japan. Victor makes the best records in Japan. And it doesn't have a year. But anyway, the reason I've got this record out here is if you want to find, and these are still available on eBay and Discogs and whatever, if you want to find a fantastic sounding record, these aren't very expensive. These are some of the cheaper MoFis out there. Because if you're trying to find Aqualung by Jethro Tull or Yes or Deja Vu or something, yeah, those are way, way up there. These are still, I don't know, $15, $20, maybe around that area. And it's just a fantastic sounding record. Okay, now that I've said all that, I want to talk a little bit more about MoFi. Because, I'm being a little tough on MoFi there, talking about all that stuff they're doing, which I don't appreciate them doing, because they've got a name and they're trying to sell records that to me, they're kind of misrepresenting what they're doing. With that being said, this record here is probably one of the best sounding records in my whole collection. This is a newer record that they put out. It's a 2 LP on 45 RPM. Now they've had that Columbia 2i360 tape. That's when these came out, 1970, I believe. And boy, oh boy, what a phenomenal sounding record this is. Okay, and then we've got this thing, that box. Now this is a one-step, and for people that don't know what one-step is, when you make a record, like if you're going to make a record, you want to be able to make thousands and thousands and thousands of records. So you take and you make the lacquer, and then you make a record off of that. Well, then you take that record and they make a negative of that. That's called the father. The first one's the father, and then they can make plates off of that one. They make a whole bunch of other records off of it, but they're all going to be plates for mastering. So that father, you're never going to hear that one because that's just used for making a whole bunch of plates for it, another whole bunch of other records. So you're getting like this would the one step is like the first pressing off of the lacquer, and the other records are like the second generation from the lacquer. So you've got 3 steps in there. So now we've got one step, which when they make the lacquer, and then they make the negative off of that, they use that as a stamper. So now you can only make 5, 6, maybe 7,000 records because you've only got one. You're not making a bunch of stampers off of it. You're taking the father and you're making records right from it. So now you're getting closer to the tape. And these records sound fantastic. They really do. And the reason I bring it up is because I just want to say that we're very, very fortunate to have Analog Productions, Kevin Gray, Bernie Grunman, places like Mobile Fidelity that in this country, make the best records in the world. They really do. These are some fantastic records. Now, they're not the cheapest records going, but I'm just so happy that we have something like this that we can buy, because all the big record companies, they're just making digital records. They're it used to be in the 90s when like Classic Records and Rhino and them were making records. They were making records for audiophiles, people that were record collectors like me, and they made them exactly the way I like it. And now the big record companies, they can't sell CDs anymore. Everybody's streaming music. What can they sell? Well, they can make some records and sell that. But they can't make analog records. Kevin Gray, Sterling Sound. Then you've got, there's a place in Germany. Maybe there's a couple other in the whole world now that can make analog records. So, thanks for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed the video, and come back soon. And don't forget now, if you've stayed this long, if you haven't subscribed, hit that old subscribe button, and bye.